How do you think that this experience translates into the workplace?
Well, it depends on who controls the water elements in the workplace. What I see, I've been doing this a long time with a lot of students, and so has Brian. Brian's been doing it even longer than I have. But what I have learned is that over the years, students become much more astute evaluators of whether the context that they're interviewing for or the one that they're working in has sufficient water elements for them to be successful or not. And if it doesn't have those elements, but they think they could affect improvement, they often will stay and try that. But if they can't, if they think the system is pretty close to being a real water-focused place, they'll leave and find a place that is water-focused, because they have come to understand how important it is for the organization to have features that in place that will help them be successful as members of the organization.
And I have strains in my ears now of the person job fit, and that whole concept from organizational world, and this thing of fitting the man to the job and fitting the job to the man and all of these things. And here in Ireland now, we note employers are reporting a lack of soft skills among our young who are going into the workplace. And I think maybe it's a byproduct of screen dependence and the wiring of the brain in a different way from the use of technology at an early age, etc. Maybe we're becoming a little bit lazy. What do you think?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, and there's so many things, I know we've got a limited amount of time, but I could talk about this forever with you, Teresa. But the first thing that came to mind is the S in STEAM, social support. Mm-hmm. So often when people talk about quote unquote soft skills, they're talking about being skilled at asking for, receiving, and giving effective social support.
Sure.
And one of the things that I found is that many students, especially you mentioned post-pandemic life, is that so many people are now so used to interacting with people over texts or over technology that they really struggle with some of the basics of social support. Sure. So we emphasize that in H20 Centred classrooms, and I will say that that's been one of the more rewarding things for me, because students sort of recognize that just because I'm not comfortable with people right now, or I have a certain amount of social anxiety right now, it doesn't mean I can't eventually become skilled and confident in these soft social support related skills.
Mm-hmm. So makes you think about the hybrid working environment as well. I mean, ultimately, what's the outfall from that?
So on the one hand, it may be that people who are spending so much time in social media are a little rusty in face-to-face social interactions. And remember that these social media opportunities are also pathways through which people can provide one another social support. So what I think of this is another distribution channel for human connection. It can be used very effectively. It can be used ineffectively. And there are people for whom that particular channel really, really touches them in a way that face-to-face, they might be too nervous, or they might have too much of a power differential or some other thing, where the digital mechanism may actually, in some cases, provide some benefit that the face-to-face doesn't. And in turn, there are cases where the face-to-face provides benefits that the digital doesn't. So I think what we want to do is pay attention to what's available in every pathway.